There's nowhere in this world that you are expected to work for free, except apparently the federal government.
Tell me why somebody like you wants to be president.
Because I wanted to be president.
I'm going to make artillery 1 great again.
A South Korean man raised in the U.S. is suing the South Korean government and an adoption agency for failing to ensure he'd get American citizenship when he was adopted 40 years ago. Adam Krapser, who was deported to South Korea in 2016, filed the lawsuit, which could potentially help thousands of other South Korean adoptees avoid deportation. Krapser's wife and 2 daughters are still in Washington state. More than 25,000 federal employees filed their first unemployment claims in the 3rd week of the shutdown. That's nearly 15,000 more than the week before, and nearly 24,000 more than filed the same time last year. The Democratic Republic of Congo has sworn in Felix Tshisekedi as its new president. It's the country's first transfer of power through an election in 59 years, but its legitimacy has been questioned by another opposition candidate, the country's Catholic Church, and the African Union, which called the situation a, quote, post-electoral crisis. A federal judge may have denied Paul Manafort's request to waive his court appearance tomorrow, but Manafort did score a win. Judge Amy Berman Jackson is allowing the former Trump campaign manager to wear a suit instead of his prison jumpsuit on Friday and for all future court dates, though it's unclear whether that means he'll be allowed to wear his own socks.
Tomorrow, furloughed federal workers will miss their 2nd paycheck as the shutdown stretches past the 1-month mark. But on CNBC this morning, billionaire Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross didn't seem to grasp what everyone's so upset about, helping to cement the idea that the administration doesn't get it.
Mr. Secretary, there are reports that there are some federal workers who are going to homeless shelters to get food.
Well, I know they are, and I don't really quite understand why.
At the White House this evening, Trump struggled to explain Ross's remarks away.
Local people know who they are when they go for groceries and everything else. And I think what Wilbur was probably trying to say is that they will work along. I know banks are working along. If you have mortgages, the mortgagees, the folks collecting the interest and all of those things, they work along. And that's what happens in time like this.
Trump indicated that he'd sign a bill to fund the government if it included what he called a prorated down payment on the wall. On Capitol Hill, Democrats are almost sure to reject that idea. But Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell began a new round of negotiations after 2 earlier votes failed today. You can tell that members of Congress are beginning to sense what the Trump administration doesn't, that the shutdown is starting to have an impact on national security.
Protect our national security by providing financial security for the men and women of the FBI. Fund the FBI now.
It's not just law enforcement.
Not only are we aviation's first responders, we are the last line of defense. And we are going to work today understanding that the layers of security that need to be there, the layers of security that were put in place after 9/11 when the TSA was created, are not there.
Rachel Abraham is a TSA officer at Reagan National Airport near D.C. She spoke at an event held by Virginia Senator Mark Warner yesterday at a brewery that's having trouble getting beers approved for sale because of the shutdown.
There's nowhere in this world that you are expected to work for free, except apparently the federal government.
If she and other national security federal workers walked off the job en masse, they could grind American life and the American economy to a halt and actually put enough pressure on Washington to end the shutdown. That's a ton of power. The problem is they're not allowed to use it.
When we signed up, we were told that, federal employees aren't permitted to strike.
That it's illegal.
It was illegal.
How does that feel, that you can't even really express yourself on this?
It's an awful feeling because you have no voice, you have no outlet in order to get your point across to let people know that you want to get paid.
If a strike wasn't illegal, Do you think it would be a good idea?
In a heartbeat. When things stop, people listen. Right now, nobody's listening to us, so no negotiations are happening. If they could speak and they could strike, everybody would listen. People want to go on vacation, businessmen want to get from point A to point B, family members want to make their visits. Really, commerce would stop.
The last time a group of federal workers tried to strike was in 1981, when 13,000 air traffic controllers called off the job for better pay and working conditions. President Ronald Reagan fired 11,000 of them. That's because federal workers are subject to all kinds of laws that private workers are not, some of which restrict their freedom of speech. Sherry Cannon is an attorney who specializes in these kinds of laws. She also used to be a federal worker herself.
The Anti-Deficiency Act, which is an early 20th century act, states that federal agencies, executive agencies, cannot spend money that they don't have in advance of an appropriation. That's very different from the private sector, where your pay is clearly dependent on whether your business is making any money or your employer has got money to pay you.
There are also a few laws restricting federal workers' rights to some extent. I mean, the right to speak out, the right to strike. Can you tell me about those?
Specifically, there are statutes in the federal statutes that say that federal workers do not have the right to strike. Other issues that might arise in this situation where people start getting frustrated and tensions boil over is the Hatch Act and making political statements that are partisan.
Why the ban on striking?
It's a public safety issue. The public policy reason is you don't want people that are entrusted to protect the people of this country and the government of this country and our officials of this country from simply walking out en masse. I mean, you'd have complete chaos at airports.
There's another option, though. They can call out sick. There have been reports of USDA food inspectors skipping work at such high rates, the agency had to crack down on call-outs and require workers to provide a doctor's note as proof. And we're already seeing abnormally high numbers of unscheduled absences among TSA agents. Yesterday, the agency said it had a national rate of 7.5% of unscheduled absences, compared to 3% 1 year ago.
Nationwide, I'm getting reports that a lot of people are taking second jobs or having to call out for a couple of days in order to make enough money to make it for a couple of more days at work.
Right. So people don't even have enough gas money, say, to get to work.
Yeah, it's going to become even worse the longer this shutdown goes on. People are going to start quitting their jobs and looking for jobs that actually give them a paycheck.
The government shutdown may be inconveniencing flyers and people filing tax returns. But for people who rely on government assistance to get by, like the more than 40 million who receive food stamps, it's much more than an annoyance. SNAP recipients just got their benefits for February, but they have no guarantee that any more money will be coming if the shutdown continues. Natalie Tejada is a single mother of 3 children. She works full-time at a rehabilitation center for people with disabilities and helps deliver food at her aunt's Dominican restaurant to make a little extra money on the side. Each month, she earns about $2,400 before taxes.
Jaden, where's your coat? You're not going out there without a coat.
At the end of each month, how close do your income and expenses end up being?
You know, I live paycheck to paycheck. I tried many times to save money, and it's hard. I usually don't ever get what I want. I just go by what I need. What do you guys want me to cook for dinner? Chuletas. You want chuletas?
She relies on $547 in SNAP benefits every month to stay afloat.
Hey, we need Gatorade.
Yeah, we need Gatorade. You know you need to cut down on all that. Can you get a milk, Jaden?
Normally, Natalie's SNAP benefits come on the 8th of the month. But like tens of millions of Americans, she just got her February benefits 3 weeks early, and she has no idea when or if the next payment is coming.
Usually when I receive my benefits, I do like a large food shopping that would last me about a week and a half.
Is that food stamp?
Yeah. Usually the last week or second to last week, I have to use my own money.
What have you been told about what's going to happen with the food stamp program?
I don't really know what to expect, but when I call to find out how much I have in my car, and it tells you that your next benefit, you won't have anything.
What does it say?
It says your next benefit is $0.
State and federal officials told us they don't have any information to share about what will happen in March. But the USDA doesn't have enough reserves to cover the program if the shutdown lasts that long. In Massachusetts, explaining the situation to recipients often falls on state-funded outreach programs like Project Bread.
We can connect callers with information on a variety of food resources, such as the SNAP program, which is also known as food stamps.
Cara Burns runs their hotline.
The hotline is kind of there to make sure they understand the reason for why they got their benefits early, and to also let them know that it's now time for you to kind of budget out that money because you may not get anything for the month of March. I've never experienced anything like this. There have been other things that have happened throughout the years that may have affected people, that are enrolled in SNAP, but never to this extent.
What's different about this time?
Is not having any answers. I try not to think past the end of February. I know it's really hard to hear that, but I get emotional thinking about the number of families that are going to be affected by not having any benefits.
Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says he's shutting down the country's embassy and all its consulates in the U.S. in defiance of the Trump administration and its call for him to step down.
No queda duda que es Donald Trump, con su locura de creerse policía del mundo, de creerse el mandamás de América Latina y el Caribe. Es una gran provocación.
Intervening may pitch the U.S. into a standoff against Maduro, the army that's pledged to support him, and Venezuelan allies like Russia, China, Syria, and Turkey, who have warned the U.S. not to meddle. But thousands have been protesting against Maduro. And the opposition leader who called them into the streets, Juan Guaido, swore himself in yesterday as interim president. We spoke to Venezuelans on the ground about the crisis in their country.
Sabemos que el presidente que ahorita tenemos realmente no, yo no lo considero como mi presidente.
Nicolás Maduro Moro.
Yo considero a Juan Guaidó, presidente interino de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela, como presidente.
Juan Guaidó.
Nicolás Maduro Moro.
Para nosotros el pueblo, lo importante es que toda la comunidad internacional ayude, incluso Estados Unidos, porque aquí hay un estado paralelo y el señor Maduro ha violado la Constitución junto con sus demás poderes, que están todos secuestrados.
Que agarren sus maletas en ellos, que se vayan para el norte y que nos den tranquilos. Y los venezolanos resolvemos nuestros problemas nosotros mismos.
Se ve que tenemos apoyo de Estados Unidos o que Donald Trump de una vez lo reconoce como tal y me parece que está muy bien. Pues.
Tiene que romper relaciones con los Estados Unidos, porque los Estados Unidos no le pueden imponer un presidente a Venezuela.
Hemos pasado mucha desidia, hemos pasado hambre, falta de medicina, falta de transporte, falta de todo.
Bien, bueno, por lo menos amplia. Me desenvuelvo completamente bien, mi familia está bien, gracias a Dios. Siempre hay ciertas cosas negativas, pero uno tiene que aceptarlas porque estamos con la revolución. Pues.
Yo fui presa por pensar distinto al señor Maduro y su régimen. Ha sido un calvario.
Wow, es difícil, súper difícil porque tengo 2 niños que mantener y soy madre soltera. Es demasiado difícil, o sea, con los estudios, la comida, el día a día. Es súper difícil estar aquí en Venezuela, sí.
No me gustaría salir, porque creo que mi patria es el país más bello del mundo. Y Venezuela es Venezuela, lo demás, como dicen, en Monte Culebra.
Wow, es súper difícil. Sí tengo varias familias fuera y, bueno, si se me diera la oportunidad, sí lo haría.
Y he tenido la oportunidad, porque fíjate que tengo aquí los años que tengo y tengo visa y pasaporte, y no me he querido ir de mi país porque pienso que esto puede mejorar en cualquier momento.
Siento que Venezuela todavía tiene mucho para dar y es mejor estar acá, como por decir que uno luchando, ¿no?
The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists held its annual Doomsday Clock event this morning and declared that the world is no closer, but no farther, from nuclear annihilation.
It is still 2 minutes to midnight, remaining the closest to midnight that the clock has ever been set.
Actual scientists did most of the talking, but also present at the speaker's table was the Bolton's new executive chair, Jerry Brown. Yes, that Jerry Brown. The legendary California governor, mayor, presidential candidate, and subject of a Dead Kennedys song. At age 80, Brown just ended his 4th stint as Governor Moonbeam and began a new one as Dr. Mushroom Cloud. It doesn't seem like people talk about this anymore. I mean, in the 1980s, you were making films about it, diving under desks, The Day After, remember that big film? I don't hear much talk
Nobody's
about
talking about it. The Congress, with some exceptions, is totally complacent. It looks like the Russians seem to be quite exuberant in their nuclear missile building program, and then you have the other countries of the world. I think we're in kind of a sleepwalking state.
We're 2 minutes to midnight. We're in a sort of 1913, 1914 area. I don't think many people would agree with you on that.
No.
And, so can you tell me why?
The people who know agree.
Yeah.
Of course they know. I mean, there's only one man that needs to pull the trigger. That's Donald Trump on our side and Mr. Putin on the other side.
How would you grade the president on this issue so far? People have given him high marks for an exchange with North Korea.
I would say, number one, that his willingness to talk to the North Korean leader is really good. And his predecessor didn't do that. So I'd say that's a bit of a breakthrough. Unfortunately, there's been no substance as a consequence.
When you look out at the current sort of polarization that we see, the Democratic Party seems like all these candidates are running away from their previously sort of centrist positions, whether it's Kamala Harris or, Cory Booker or people like this. And the Republicans are, a populist, nativist, ethno-nationalist party now. What the hell's happened?
The inequality has grown, so that means people are experiencing very different life circumstances. And I believe that has fed the division, the discrepancy, the polarization. So there's a lot of that. And then with Trump being so unpredictable, that's not helped.
How would you define yourself ideologically?
I'm a planetary realist.
Explain a planetary realist.
Well, I'm a realist, so let's not be beguiled by illusions or naivete. On the other hand, we are linked in this community of people, 7.3, 7.4 billion, whether it's cyber or the international monetary system or weather or disease or climate change or habitat destruction or the threat of nuclear war. For the first time in human history, we're all linked together. So there is a planetary quality to our politics, or there should be.
Give me your assessment of what's going on here in Washington at the moment with the shutdown.
Well, what's the assessment? One thing, when I see that wall, I think of the Berlin Wall and being locked in. Trump sees it as locking out the immigrants. This is a humanitarian crisis that I would like to see some positive intervention, some outreach. No, we're just tighten it up, circle the wagons, America, the indispensable first. Well, that's not planetary realism. That's planetary insanity.
So it's a shutdown based on a false premise.
Yeah, if you're going to shut it down, let's shut it down over the insanity of the nuclear arms budget.
Why did you run for president 3 times? What was the desire to be president?
If somebody asked me, that seems like the worst job in the world. Three times you decided.
That's why you're not running for president.
Well, precisely. Tell me why somebody like you wants to be president.
Because I wanted to be president.
Really? That's it?
I'm attracted to the position. Yeah. Well, why did I run for governor?
Well,
I wanted to be governor.
On the state level, can't you affect change easier on a state level than being the president?
Well, if you're in the business of politics and you go up the chairs, as it were, the top one is president. Come down from there, the next one, governor of California, and then maybe mayor of Oakland.
Yeah, but you did mayor of Oakland in '98.
Well,
you did them slightly out of order.
I did, but it was good.
Yeah.
I think you should become a mayor after a governor.
Why?
Because mayor gives a concrete encounter with all the more abstract rules and laws that you articulated and were responsible for as a governor. So governors deal not with crime on 12th Street, but with a criminal law. They deal with education, not the local high school. So there's a concreteness that illuminates the dilemmas, the paradoxes, and the difficulties, and the opportunities in ways that the distant state capitals don't afford.
I'm going to ask you a question that'll force you to roll your eyes.
What?
Give me a grade of your sort of political career. You've done a lot. You're attorney general, mayor, governor, right?
Look,
presidential runs. When you look back at it, if someone forces you to do that, how do you conceive of your political life?
I took my politics on a pass-fail basis, and I clearly passed.
Yeah. You didn't become president.
No, that was unfortunate.
He rode in on a horse. And after 2 years as Secretary of the Interior, during which he opened 13 million acres of public lands for oil and gas development, initially blamed the California wildfires on environmental terrorists, and chartered a plane to deliver a speech to a Las Vegas pro hockey team, Ryan Zinke rode out on a wave of scandal. But 22 days later, Zinke's back.
I'm going to make Artillery One great again.
Zinke's new gig is as the managing director of Artillery One, a blockchain and cryptocurrency investment firm.
Artillery One set out to create the preeminent event in the history of blockchain.
There is very little information available about Artillery One, aside from a frankly, oh my god video the company released to celebrate its own conference in Pebble Beach.
Resulting in all parties at the summit, including Pebble Beach, being mesmerized with the atmosphere, knowledge transfer, and networking that occurred.
Last week, Zinke and his new boss, Daniel Cannon, attended a crypto finance conference in the luxury ski town of St. Moritz, Switzerland, at a hotel organizers compared to a fairy tale castle. Vice News had the opportunity to both network and knowledge share with them there.
The mission of the company is to push the envelope. We're the tip of the spear, the edge of the knife. Secretary Zinke is a dynamic individual. He served his country, and he deserves the attention. He's a man to be looked up to. I'm very proud that he's part of Artillery One and now our managing director.
You know, we met years ago on an airplane, and then after I left the secretary, I got a phone call out of the blue and began to talk, and we have similar visions.
What Zinke doesn't have is any obvious experience with tech or blockchain, but that doesn't seem to be holding him back.
We're going to concentrate on cybersecurity and then look for opportunities on blockchain, and also look at the regulatory structure to make sure that structure doesn't inhibit the opportunity of blockchain itself.
What was your motivation to switch from the government to private sector?
The sides are divided into a red team and a blue team. And as a former military commander, I'm red, white, and blue.
Artillery One won't reveal its clients or what it's paying Secretary Zinke, but its CEO has said he's getting C-level executive compensation. And, in announcing his hire, revealed a fact that would stun anyone who watched Zinke as Interior Secretary. Quote, Secretary Zinke understands the need for alternative renewable energy, as climate change is a clear and present danger. Even if Zinke's a sudden convert on climate change, he's still faithful to his old boss.
Ryan is an Eagle Scout from Big Sky Country in Montana.
These are the socks that I pulled out of the drawer first today.